Linda Joyce is a native Atlantan, and she is an avid reader, and avid readers make great authors. She is the author of Second Room on the Right, a beautiful book that talks about the colors and the characters of her beautiful world. You'll meet Linda Joyce in just a little bit here on Babbie's House. Stay tuned. It's all coming up right now.
Babbie's house, Babbie's house. Every day is filled with possibility. At Babbie's house, Babbie's house. Everybody is family. Welcome to Babbie's house. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Babbie's house. I'm your host, Babbie Mason, and welcome to the show. Today's guest is Linda Joyce, and she is a wonderful, prolific author, a great storyteller, an award-winning storyteller. As a matter of fact, her works have been in the spotlight on NPR, and today they're in the spotlight on Babbie's House. We're happy to have Linda Joyce. She is the author of Second Room on the Right, and you'll hear some of her life stories. She's a native Atlantan, and here in the Atlanta area, that's a big deal. If you're born and raised, I mean born here, raised here, went to school here, went to church here, your footprints are on the sidewalks, in the concrete of the streets of Atlanta. We'll hear all about those beautiful stories here in just a little bit. But right now, I want to take you to church, and church is my favorite place to be other than at home at my house. But this is a look back into the past and bringing it to the present. Stop by the church sometime. Well, you ought to stop by the church sometime. Stop by the church sometime. Well, something may be said to help you on your way. When you stop by the church sometime, you ought to stop by the church sometime. Stop by the church sometime. Something may be said to help you on your way when you stop by the church sometime. Now, when you see the deacons come out and sing a song, give a testimony about what the Lord has done. The Holy Ghost is moving till every pain and care is left behind. You got a made-up mind to leave your burdens there. You can listen to the songs that they sing. Listen to the songs that they sing. Well, the words of a song will help you to carry on if you stop by the church sometime. Then you can listen to the prayer that they pray. Listen to the prayers that they pray. Well, while you're there in prayer, the Holy Ghost will meet you there when you stop by the church sometime. Now, when you see the preacher come out and take the stand, read the Holy Scripture. You ought to try and take it in. In that Holy Bible, it's got everything you need. You can find a scripture for every description. When you take a little time and read, you ever feel alone? Stop by the church. Stop by the church. Stop by the church. In need of a friend. Stop by the church. Oh, stop by the church. Stop by the church. When your burdens get heavy. Stop by the church. Stop by the church. Stop by the church. You ever feel misused? Stop by the church. Stop by the church. Stop by the church. You ever feel abused? Stop by the church. Stop by the church. Stop by the church. Know you've been talked about. Stop by the church. Oh, that's all right. Stop by the church. That's all right. Stop by the church. That's all right. Stop by the church. Listen to the preacher. Stop by the church. Listen to the preacher. Stop by the church. You feel like singing. Stop by the church. Just like singing. Stop by the church. You feel like shouting. Stop by the church. Yeah, 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 yeah. Stop by the church. When the Holy Ghost comes. Stop by the church. When the Holy Ghost comes. Stop by the church. When the Holy Ghost
Welcome back to Babbie's house. I am delighted to introduce to you Linda Joyce. She is the author of The Second Room on the Right. What a great title. And in her book called The Second Room on the Right, she tells you the stories of her life, her growing up in Atlanta, her home, her church, her difficulties, her setbacks, her successes, her defeats, her joys and her heartbreaks. And what a great honor it is to have on Babbie's house Linda Joyce. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Babbie.
And congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
And to be able to do what you love and love what you do. And,
yeah.
And it's quite an accomplishment to see your stories being printed.
Yeah.
And you've been featured in a lot of good places. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So I want to tell us about The Second Room on the Right and what we'll find when we open up these pages.
Well, what you'll find is some interesting stories about a young black girl growing up in the South in the 50s. And it's very transparent. If you're not willing to hear the truth, the good, bad, and ugly is there. What I found more interesting about the story is after I wrote it and discussed it, I finally learned after 60-some years to appreciate my mother. You know, people feel like mothers should do this, they should be there, they should act a certain way. But she was a woman with feelings, desires, and hopes of her own, but she put her life on hold for 43 years to raise 11 children.
11 children.
11 children.
You had 10 other siblings.
Yes, by the same father who stayed in the house, they didn't believe in divorce. She never believed in welfare, taking a handout. Christian woman, went back to school at 65, got her high school diploma. She was a great woman.
Wow,
Great
isn't
woman.
that beautiful?
Yeah.
So was your mom from the South?
Born, yeah, in Atlanta. Everybody's from Atlanta.
Did you ever live up north?
Well, I went to, shortly went to school in Nebraska.
In Nebraska?
Yeah, sure.
So do you, there's something about the South. I'm from the North. I'm from Michigan. And I'll always be from Michigan. Michigan will always be home, even though I've been living here in Georgia longer than I ever lived in Michigan because I've been married almost 40 years. But there's something about the South. My parents are from the South. The values that we learn here in the South, home and just the church and all of those things that we learned. And of course, you being born and raised here in Atlanta, Georgia, what were some of those values that were caught and those that were taught? Give us some of those things that brought you to this place.
My mother raised us on sayings. One of her sayings was, if you can learn a lesson from loss, you ain't lost a thing.
Wow. That's quotable right there.
Yeah. And she says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. So she raised us on a lot of sayings.
That's good.
Kept us closer to church. School was #1, which you don't have a lot of emphasis on these days, but go to school, respect the teacher, respect authority. Those things are lost now.
Yes.
Okay, they're lost.
Well, those are values that will take you all the way through life.
But you don't realize it sometimes until you get on the other side. I talk about how I don't have children because I figured God would pay me back. Pay me back because I was a bad child. I was a bad seed. But, sometimes it takes a lifetime to understand what helped and what hurt. It takes a while. But the most important thing in my book is that I'm surprised how this has touched so many women who read the book.
And why is that?
Women, we have so much crap in our craw that we don't realize is there. And I think that helps us from having healthy, long, and strong relationships. I talk about a bedroom incident that I had, a family bedroom incident in the book. And every time I discuss this book, there's a lady who pulled me to the side and says, Linda, I had a bedroom incident too, but I can't talk about it until someone dies. I had some self-consciousness about my color. I'm surprised how many women are saying same thing. They never threaded the maypole. They could never be a maidrette because they were dark-skinned. So those are deep-seated things that we carry with us.
Oh, yes.
I was bullied as a child.
You were bullied.
Bullied, and I became a bully.
I was going to ask you, so did you turn into a bully?
Yes, yeah. And I can remember the encounters just like it was yesterday. They're deep-seated.
Can you talk about one of those encounters?
Yes. Everyone has a story to tell, and I believe the older woman has led an interesting but an unpublished life. And when I think about all of the people that have, billions of people that lived before us, the billions of people who live now, and the billions of people who may live after us, none of us will be exactly alike. How does God do that?
Yes.
How?
How does he do that? Each one of us is distinctly different.
And then when I realized in the book, my mother raised 11 children exactly alike, but each one of them internalized that differently.
Yes.
And
That's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So in your experiences as an author and you telling your story, your stories, what do you think has been one of the biggest impacts that you telling your story has had on people?
One of my goals is not just to sell a book, but is to get more people to write, young people to write early. There are a lot of young people who have some of the same struggles, who are homeless. Well, I never was homeless, but they're having some struggles I never had. And I think the average black child gives up hope by the 3rd grade. 3rd grade. So I'd like to encourage, my book is about pressing on, just don't
Keep
stop.
Moving. Don't stop.
Don't stop, don't stop, okay? And in the show, I went through some things some kids never would ever think of going through, but just keep moving. From the church, the home, the school, the community, everything.
Yes. Your book is called The Second Room on the Right. Where is the second room on the right?
In a house on 97 Arcadia Circle, still stands today.
Is that right? Still
Yes,
there?
still
in Atlanta,
there.
Georgia?
Yes, yes, still stands it today. And it's interesting, as I was choosing my title, I went through a lot of titles. And everybody said, nah. But the instant I said the second room on the right, everybody says, I know exactly which room you're talking about. Everybody.
Yeah. And even though I've not seen the second room on the right, there's a picture, you know, in my head.
Yeah.
You know, my house or my grandmama's house.
Was your grandmother's house a shotgun house?
Actually, in the South it was, but my grandmother in the late 40s and 50s moved to Detroit.
Okay.
And, you know, during the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
But they brought those same values from Mississippi,
Right.
that they, right up to Detroit, and then to Jackson, where I grew up. And so my daddy's from Alabama, my mother's from Mississippi. So I'm a product of those same values.
I think what's interesting today, a lot of people have mommies, some have moms, some have mothers. I had a mama.
A mama?
I had a mama.
What's the difference?
Oh. She taught us, she was a teacher in the School of Hard Knocks. She was the type of person who said, you make a decision and you suffer the consequence. I'll never forget as a child being hungry, I wanted her to take government assistance. And she says, no, child, I brought you here. Feeding you is nobody's responsibility but mine.
That's powerful.
And
when we come back after this break, we're going to talk more about that. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pictures and stories that Linda Joyce brings to us today. After this break, we're going to talk more with Linda and about that second room on the right. Don't go anywhere. After this break, we'll be right back with more. Welcome back to Babbie's House. I'm talking today with Linda Joyce, the author of The Second Room on the Right. Her books, or this book, is on the recommended reading list for high schools, for book clubs. She is an award-winning author. She is, in 2014, Linda was a winner in the Greensboro Senior Games, and we'll talk about what that is. She received the first place blue ribbon in the Silver Arts Literary category, writing about her life's experiences and an array of experiences. I mean, when I hear your stories, it was like somebody took a paintbrush and just went across the horizon, just stories, colors, and texture in your life. Talk to us about the Greensboro Senior Games.
You know, those are games that almost every state has. They're trying to get seniors to become more active, whether it's playing cards, knitting, watercolor, singing, playing the guitar, playing a musical instrument, sports, whatever. And so each year they have competitions in each category, and they want seniors to submit their talent or whatever in that particular category. And that year I decided to enter a story about me growing up in Atlanta, and it won first place.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
So who should read The Second Room on the Right?
Well, it was slated to, well, I've been told it should be targeted to 13 to 18-year-old, but I'm having people to read it all across the board. I had a man who read it, he's 84 years old, and he said, outside of the Bible, that's the first book he ever read completely in his life.
Oh, my goodness.
He could not put it down.
And as an author, how does that make you feel? Of somebody who's never read a complete book in his life, how does that make you feel?
Strangely amazing, because this is my first time at the Hopper writing. I didn't know I had that talent, okay. But everybody, there's something there for everybody. Black, white, old, young, it goes across the board. That's what's interesting about it, and I didn't know it had that potential when I wrote it.
Yes. Growing up in Atlanta, during the 50s, you were born in the 50s, so you came through the 50s, the 60s, the civil rights movement, and particularly here in Atlanta, Georgia, which is like, you know, the seat of the civil rights movement. Georgia and Alabama here in the South, the turbulent 70s, you know, the 80s when women, you know, came into their own, and the 90s and the success. Talk to us about those seasons.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I don't remember them because I was raised as a Seventh-day Adventist, and it was really a close community. So we were protected from a lot of that. I heard it in the news, but I never actually experienced it. And I talk in the book, the first time I ever saw a white person cry was when Kennedy was killed. I didn't know white people could cry. Can you believe that?
Interesting.
That's just how protected I was, in a protected community. Okay. So I was, as they say, in the world, but not of the world.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you want people, after they read The Second Room on the Right, what do you want people to walk away with?
That everyone has a story to tell. And every time someone dies, we lose a library.
So you're a notable quotable, just like your mother.
Well, no, but I,
yes. Yes.
But I just think in life there's so many stories to tell. Everybody has a unique story. We're put here for a purpose. Nobody can wear that necklace like you. Nobody can wear their hair like you. Nobody can talk like you. I just think it's so amazing that we die and the world doesn't have a part of us when we leave here.
And our story is still in us.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I think it was Irma Bombeck that said something like, you know, when I stand before God at the end of my life, I want to have used up all of my gifts and say to God, I used everything you gave me.
Everyone.
And so do you have a chance to stand before audiences and tell your stories?
Yes, I do. Probably one of the best opportunities I had was at NPR when they found out about me. I was on 4 times. And it's interesting how many people come up to me in the grocery store and say, are you the little girl who talked about riding the train in New York? They'll remember the story, you know. And as I said before, what's most interesting is that everybody everybody can find something in that book that they can relate to. Now, how unique is that?
Yes.
How unique is that?
Well, you're a beautiful storyteller. And again, the name of the book is called The Second Room on the Right. How can people get information about the book?
Amazon.com, 5-star rating, and I love it. When they read it, please go back and give me a rating. That's something we don't do for some reason. We don't rate our books. And contact me on Facebook.
All right, and what's your Facebook handle?
Second Room on the Right.
Second Room on the Right, okay. So they would go to facebook.com/Second Room on the Right. Well, is there one last thought you want to leave our audience today?
Well, as I said, I'm just excited about getting people to write their story. And I'd like to encourage more people to read and to write, because the more you read, the better you write.
Do you have an opportunity to speak with students?
That's what I'm looking forward to this coming year, going to the classroom speaking to students, because I've had several high schools who have students who've expressed that they want to write. They'd like to start writing, and that's what I'd like to do.
Well, that's beautiful. Well, thank you for coming by Babbie's house today.
Thank you for having
me. Bringing my own copy. I want you to autograph it for me.
I most certainly
And
will.
again, our guest today has been Linda Joyce, the author of The Second Room on the Right. And once again, thanks for coming by Babbie's house.
Thank you for having me,
A real
Babbie.
joy to have you.
Thank you.
And it's a joy to have you too, my friend. Thank you for watching Babbie's House today. I want you to, as well as when you're online looking up The Second Room on the Right on Facebook, will you also visit my website? My official website is Babbie.com, first name only, Babbie.com. And while you're there on the website, check out our music conference called The Inner Circle. It's a weekend music conference for singers and songwriters. And during that time, if you're a songwriter or a singer and you dream of writing better music, or launching your music ministry, or recording songs without breaking the bank, or promoting your music online, then check out The Inner Circle. We have conferences that are always ongoing. We have one in the spring for songwriters, and then one in the fall for recording artists. So there's one that's probably going to be coming up right about now. Just go to Babbie.com, check out the dates, register there online, or send me an email if you have questions. We would love to have you to check out The Inner Circle. And while you're there on the website, there is a link to BabbieMasonRadio.com. You know, I'm all about equipping the independent artist, that artist who is not on a label, but who has a great story, who has beautiful music, who writes or sings his or her own music, and you want to take it to the world. Well, we will put you on the spotlight, or in the spotlight, on Babbie Mason Radio. We validate the stories and the music of the independent artists. And so check it out. It's beautiful Christian music. We're online 24/7, 365. You'll be very encouraged when you check out BabbieMasonRadio.com. Well, my good friend, thanks for tuning into Babbie's House today. So glad you stopped by, and hope today that you've been encouraged by Linda's story, encouraged by our great conversation. Will you trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding? In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He'll direct your path. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.